Welcome to CBC Alumni Focus. This is CBC Alumni Director Rob Stagenborg, and very excited today to have on my guest, Lewis Montgomery, class of 1977. Lewis, welcome to the Alumni Focus.
Rob, thank you so much for having me. It's a
Well,
pleasure.
Lewis, you're going to be very prominent, playing a very prominent role in our new event called Real Talk, CBC Today and Life After. And what is this? A virtual career panel that we're putting together for the students as well as younger alumni. It's all free. It's all going to be available through our website. You want to talk a little bit about it? Well, first of all, the event's being sponsored by the CBC Alumni Association and the Black Alumni Society.
hmm
You want to kind of talk about the event and just the relationship of those two organizations?
Sure, absolutely. We'll start with the Black Alumni Society. This is an idea that came to me several years ago because I've lived outside of the St. Louis area for most of my adult life, and I went back for one of my reunions, and I realized that I would literally never see some people that graduated a year or two before or after me, unless there was some sort of separate event for that. Fast forward, I'm connected with guys like Weldon Ledbetter, who's a class of '79, who's had a great career along with some other folks. And so really, and I've kicked around the idea of putting together a group that would accomplish a couple of things. One is to reconnect Black alumni back to CBC. For one, that was one of the major objectives, and the other was to connect Black alumni to each other, because again, many of us have moved away, and unless we're in the same class, we may not have an opportunity to go back to campus and see each other. And then third is to be a resource for the school to help others, not just Black students, but any other students in terms of getting to know other alumni. And so that's where the idea came from. We're part of the overall CBC Alumni Association. And one of the things that's happened as a result of this is that there have been other guys like Steve Seeley, for instance, and Chris Doyle, who are part of the Black Alumni Society, who are part of its initial launch, who have been very involved with the Alumni Association. So it's really, again, helped to just really reunite folks who had, in some cases, drifted away from the school. One of the signature events we did, Rob, several years ago was we did this several times, was to have a career in college forum. Because unfortunately what happens in particular for alumni, but I think in particular for Black alumni, and I'm a great example of that, we go away to college and we move away and we're not available. And so this was a way to showcase the career and college experiences of a number of our Black alums, for both obviously up and coming Black alums, because the reality is some of these young guys don't have good role models, and we can certainly serve in that capacity. But it's also a good event for others who aren't Black to have an opportunity to see what some of the guys who've gone through CBC, what kinds of things they've been able to do in their career. So we're very excited to have the event kick off again in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to moderating it.
Again, that event's going to be on February 19th, beginning at about 10:15 is when the show will start. And certainly we have a group of 5 alumni, really ranging, spanning many of the different decades. So, you know, as you got into your personal and your professional career, and as you saw the ability to network, not just with, like-minded people, but, again, moving away, the
hmm
ability to network with CBC people it's very difficult when you're away. So this is an opportunity to kind of reconnect you
hmm
guys.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, recollect and help with that third objective that the Black Alumni Society has, which is to be a resource for CBC.
And again, we talk about the panel, and again, we talk about Weldon Ledbetter, class of 1979, works
hmm
at TD down in Florida, in Orlando.
hmm
Keith Hebler with Worldwide Technology, Brad Edwards, the talented 10th, Will Bush, FMG leading, and Taj Jackson. Again, these are all younger guys. These are guys in the
hmm
02s, 03s, and of course Keith is the senior guy at 95. But again, it's a statement that some of these younger guys are coming up, they're making an impact, and they want to
hmm
share with the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the challenge for a lot of guys. So, for instance, I was first generation college, and I know that's the case for many of the guys who are going to CBC to kind of have a vision of what's possible. And I think that's a big part of what we want to do as part of this. You know, some of the we've had airline pilots who are part of the CBC family. Reggie Seeley is a retired airline pilot, and he was a panelist a few years back. So again, for people to have an opportunity to see what's possible in their career and to talk about how CBC was able to help us with our both our career choices as well as the college choices and both the career and college successes that we've had.
And certainly the fact that this is a virtual event really kind of opens it up to be able to include people like
Hmm.
yourself who aren't here in St. Louis, that we can
Sure.
bring people from really around the world. So that has to kind of be a very unique element of this type of event.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've done them before. Obviously, we were doing in person, and that's one of the things that we've all learned from this pandemic, is that we're really not constrained as we once were physically to having to be in the same place at the same time. So as you'll see on the 19th, we'll be able to have a great event, and like I said, that's available to kids that are in the St. Louis area, but then alums who are all over the country and frankly all over the world.
Let's talk about your experience at CBC. I mean, obviously you played football, or it was in the late '70s. CBC is really coming out of a kind of
Hmm.
a downturn, so you were kind of part of that revival. Talk about being a student at CBC in the mid to late '70s and being an African American student at CBC during that time.
Yeah, it was really an interesting time. I started at CBC in 1973, and that was the Vietnam War was winding down, which was a very unpopular war for a lot of reasons, and the military, by extension, was really not held in high regard. And my class, I think we graduated 115 students. It was one of the smallest classes that existed at the time. And our principal at the time, Brother Augustine, made some very tough decisions on de-emphasizing the military and ultimately end up phasing the military out. But again, we were there. My class was the last year of 4 years of mandatory military. But one of the things and I grew up in North St. Louis, and one of the things that was great about CBC was that, and I didn't drive, was I could get to CBC on a bus. And so the fact that where CBC was located made it accessible to me, and also the thing I enjoyed I'd say one of the things I enjoyed most about the school was the diversity that existed at the time. You know, more than just racial diversity, but socioeconomic diversity. So there were rich kids that were there, but there were working class and blue collar kids as well. And so I think that that exposure to a wide variety of different types of people was one of the things that I know I benefited tremendously from. And as a result, I was very comfortable going away to college. I went to Cornell University. I didn't know a single person there. I didn't even know anyone who had gone to Cornell. But it was the fact that I had been successful at CBC and knew that I could get along with different types of people gave me the incentive to go there, and that ultimately propelled me on the career that I'm on now. I had a long career as a human resources practitioner, and for the last almost 10 years, I've been an executive search consultant. So I place HR leaders in particular for organizations around the country. So, I mean, there was there's a clear connecting point for me between CBC, the success and exposure that I had there, as well as the success that I've had in my life since.
Who were some of the role models? I mean, certainly he played football, so Coach Haggerty would certainly be someone who's influential. But who were some of the brothers or teachers that you just really connected with and really helped you kind of push you forward?
Sure. Well, clearly, Coach Haggerty was iconic, and I have to thank him for the opportunity to go to Cornell, because what happened was the incoming freshman football coach showed up who happened to be from St. Louis, a guy by the name of Jim Mueling, showed up at CBC one day. He was on his first recruiting trip, and he came to CBC because he thought there would be students there who could potentially play at that level as well as handle the academics. And grateful to Coach Haggerty because he made the introduction to me, and then I ultimately took my first ever plane trip and visited Cornell, and ultimately decided to go there. But other teachers that were very helpful to me, Mr. Devoto, who unfortunately passed away not too long ago. He was one of our football coaches, and I'll never forget on our after our last game, he said to me, as we were going through and greeting everybody and wishing everyone well, he said, "You're going places." And he planted that seed, that positive expectation that there was a bright future for me beyond CBC was there. I'll mention a name that a lot of people won't remember, but we had a chemistry teacher by the name of Mr. Kent for a period of time, and I learned something during that class that I use on a regular basis. I learned how to do proportions, and I do proportions on a regular basis, surprisingly in my work on a regular basis. Then one other teacher I'll mention is Mr. Davenport, who taught English and he taught literature. And you'll see the books behind me. I developed a love for literature while at CBC, and I can thank Mr. Davenport for that, along with other teachers. And then lastly, I have to say, Brother Leonard. Brother Leonard was my homeroom teacher, my second my sophomore year, and we stayed in touch for many years. He actually came to my 50th birthday party, which was pretty cool. And unfortunately, he's passed away within the last couple of years as well. But he was someone that was very special as well. Believed in me and believed in other guys at CBC. And this fact that just thinking about these guys brings back a lot of very positive memories about the time that I had there. So the one regret in life is that I don't live in the St. Louis area anymore. I've got two boys. They're 15 and 10, and so they won't have the opportunity to go to CBC. But if we were there, there'd be no question that they would be at CBC.
That's good. You mentioned the skills. I mean, a lot of alums talk about typing class with DC Wilcutt. As a freshman, it's the skill that they've carried on through their entire lives. So,
sure.
Talk about football too. I mean, you were a standout football player. You guys, was Coach Haggerty was still a younger coach, kind of early in his career. You kind of had to grow with him a little bit. So, talk about playing football here at CBC.
Sure. Yeah. Well, during the time that I was there, I was part of Coach Haggerty's first two winning teams. I think his first couple of years were pretty tough. And my junior year, junior and senior year, we went 6-4. And like I said, I like to tease him when I see him every now and then that we probably saved his job by starting to turn the program around. But it was very challenging because, again, as I mentioned, we had a pretty small class, and so we didn't have huge numbers of kids that exists at CBC today, and so. I played both ways. I played defensive back. I also played on offense. There were some games where I didn't leave the field because we were kind of shorthanded. But it was a great experience to have played. I mentioned I played with Weldon Ledbetter, who ultimately played at the University of Oklahoma, and he also played professionally for a period of time. I played against a couple of guys who played in the league. In different places. So it was really great experience to do that. I also ran track, and one of the things I'm really proud of in track is that there were 5 of us that went to the state championship meet, and literally we got out of Mr. Churra's car, and the 4 of us, and as a team we placed 3rd in the state. And so I was very proud of that. Mike Bernard was one of my classmates who was a 2-time state champ in the high hurdles. So again, there was some, we didn't have a lot of athletes, but the guys that we had were good and quite dedicated.
So when word travels out to where you're at, that CBC's football team is undefeated or awesome, you have to have a kind of swallow with pride a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I've been back for a few games. over the years. Uh, Seen them, and I've also watched the games virtually. So I've seen them win championships. Neither of my boys have played football, but I've had them watch some of the games as well, and I've told them about playing. But yeah, it's a great sense of pride to see how successful the teams have been, especially given the challenges that we faced. Certainly when I was there. So no, absolutely, it's a great sense of pride.
Again, we're talking with Lewis Montgomery, class of 1977. And Lewis, as we kind of wrap up, is there anything that you want to kind of add?
Sure, I appreciate you asking that, Rob. I think one of the things that I'm also very proud of is the fact that for many years I have been making financial contributions to CBC. It was beneficial to me to go to CBC. I received financial assistance to go there. CBC was a real stretch for my parents, and as you've heard me talk about, it was one of the most important things that ever happened to me in my life, and so it's something that I've done very consistently, and my family and I have actually endowed a scholarship to be able to provide ongoing financial assistance to other students, and would encourage other alums to do that. I mean, part of what has made CBC so great is the fact that we've been able to, over a long period of time, be able to provide a high quality education to a very diverse slate of a diverse swath of kids across the St. Louis metro area. And so, even though I've been away from St. Louis for most of my adult life, this is a way that I can continue to make a contribution, have made a contribution to CBC on an ongoing basis. And I would just encourage other alums to do that as well. You don't have to endow a scholarship, but contribute as you can. I mean, my first contributions to CBC were $50 and $100, and so every dollar you give is ultimately used to help provide a high quality education for deserving kids. So I would just encourage guys, and not just guys, but people who believe in education, who believe in helping to make our society better. This is a great way for all of us to do that.
Again, Liz, we appreciate your support, appreciate all your support, not just even financially, just, being a leader with your class as well as with the Black Alumni Society. And you just want to again remind folks we're doing the career talk. It's Real Talk, CBC, CBC Today and Life After. It's a virtual career panel that's coming up on February 19th. Lewis will be our moderator. We hope everyone, alumni as well as students, can join us. So Lewis, I want to thank you for your time, and we look forward to the event on the 19th.
Rob, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope to see lots of folks on the webinar on the 19th.
Sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and put you on pause and hold you over. We're going to wrap it up. This is Alumni Focus. Thanks again.